Salvete discipuli, hodie spectatis lecturam duodecimam capitis duodecim, the perfect active system consisting of perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect tenses. Hodie discemus primum vocabula capitis duodecim, deinde grammaticam capitis, the perfect active system with the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect tense. Primum discemus verba vocabulorum capitis duodecim. In hoc capite sunt tria verba: amito, cado, creo. Primum verbum: amito, amitere, amici, amissum. Iua me, specilla mea amici, et sine eis videre non possum, velma exclamavit. Quid significat amito? Proximum verbum: cado, cadere, cecidi, cassorum. Orpheus Euridicem vidit, et ea misera in regnum mortuorum cecidit. O stulte Orpheu! Quid significat cado? Ultimum verbum: creo, creare, creavi, creatum. In principio creavit Deus caelum et terram, liber Geneseos in Biblia Hebraea dicit. Quid significat creo? Nunc discemus nomina vocabulorum capitis duodecim. In hoc capite sunt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, septem nomina. Septem nomina in hoc capite sunt. Adolescens, anus, mater, medicus, pater, patientia, principium. Primum nomen: adolescens, adolescentes. In hoc imagine adolescentem Aegyptium videmus. Adolescentia ultra triginta annos vitae valuit. Quid significat adolescens? Proximum nomen: annus anni. In hoc imagine adolescentem Aegyptium videmus. Adolescentia ultra triginta annos vitae valuit. Quid significat annus? Proxima nomina: mater matris et pater patris. Filia musicam, sed neque matrem neque patrem audit. Quid significant mater paterque? Proximum nomen: proxima nomina: medicus medici et medica medicae. Hippocrates fuit medicus Graecus, magna cum fama, qui ius hierandum Hippocraticum scripserat. Quid significant medicus medicaque? Proximum nomen: patientia patientiae. Marcus Aurelius imperator, ille philosophus stoicus, patientiam magnam in virtutem vertit. Quid significat patientia? Ultimum nomen: principium principii. In principio creavit Deus caelum et terram, liber Geneseos in Biblia Hebraea dicit. Quid significat principium? Nunc discemus adjectiva vocabulorum capitis duodecim. In hoc capite est unum adverbium, acerbus. primum et ultimum solum adjectivum, acerbus, acerba, acerbum. Thucydides bellum est magister acerbus scripsit, quod bellum nos veritatem de naturam hominum violenter docet. Quid significat acerbus? Nunc discemus alias partes loquendi vocabulorum capitis duodecim. In hoc capite est una praepositio et duo adverbia. Praepositio pro et adverbia diu et nuper. Praepositio pro. Cicero multas orationes pro clientibus suis scripsit, et in judiciis eos defendit. Optimus advocatus erat. Quid significat pro? Adverbium diu. Femina in vehiculo diu manet, quoniam longa mora in via est. Quid significat diu? Ultimum adverbium, nuper. Taylor Swift, album novum, nuper produxit. Quid significat nuper? Okay. Today, we are learning the perfect system, starting with the perfect tense. Okay? And the first tense that we'll learn is the perfect of the perfect system, and we'll be able to form the other two tenses, the pluperfect and future perfect, based on what we know about the perfect tense. Now let's start with what the perfect tense means. Okay, the perfect tense is what we might call the past tense or simple past tense. Okay, it denotes completed actions in the past. Okay, hence the word perfect. It has been perfected. It's done. It's finished. Okay, and this is opposed to the imperfect tense, which is for unfinished, incomplete, hence imperfect, not perfected actions. Okay, so we learned the imperfect tense for I was doing a thing. I used to do a thing. Okay, so I was driving to work. I am describing that action as unfinished. I was driving to work when my cell phone rang. Okay, I was driving to work when a bicyclist crashed into me, etc. The perfect tense would be a statement like I drove to work or I have driven to work. Okay, the action is being described in both of those sentences as being finished. I drove to work and then I got out of my car. I have driven to work today, okay, and now I am ready to work. Okay, so that's the difference. So remember that Latin has different ways of describing the past. Okay, and so not every tense is what we might call a past tense. There's more nuance. Okay. All right. Now, how do you form the perfect tense? Okay, well, now you take the third principal part. Okay, this is why we learn all four principal parts from the beginning, even if we're not using them right away, because they will become useful later. Well, now that third principal part will become useful. So if you've memorized it from all the verbs we've learned from vocab so far, then you'll have a lot less work on your plate. Okay, so let's use a fourth conjugation verb, venio, venire, veni, ventum, to come. Okay, so the third principal part is veni. Okay, hence veni, vidi, vici, I came, I saw, I conquered. Those are all third principal parts of those respective verbs. Now, how do you form the perfect tense? Well, you take that third principal part and use it as what we might call the perfect stem. Okay, because the perfect system, namely the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect tense, will all be formed off of that third principal part. Okay, so let's look at the present tense just to review. Okay, so the present tense we are forming off of that first principal part, and we are conjugating based on the second principal part, okay, to give us our verb conjugation. Wenio, wenis, wenit, wenimus, wenitis, weniunt, okay? I come, you come, he, she, it comes, we come, y'all come, they come. So present, happening now. Perfect, okay? Here's the difference. The stem of the verb is going to be different because it's going to use that third principal part. Now, you'll notice that the stem, the difference between the perfect stem and the present stem of this verb is the matter of the lengthening of a vowel. And there will be some verbs in which that's the only difference. So here's another situation where paying attention to vowel lengths and those long marks is very useful. So weini, weinisti, weinit, weinimus, weinistis, weinerunt. Okay, so these are the perfect stem plus the perfect endings. Okay, these are so it's a slightly new set of personal endings, but you'll notice that they, for the most part, have familiar elements from say, the present system personal endings. Okay, so weini, I came, I have come. Weinisti, you came, you have come. Weinit, he, she, it came, have come. Weinimus, we have come, we came. Weinistis, y'all have come, y'all came. Weinerunt, y'all, or they came, they have come. Okay? Now you're asking, all right, so that's it for a fourth conjugation verb. What about a first conjugation verb like amo, or a second conjugation verb like teneo? Well, guess what? The personal endings, including the stem, including these connecting vowels, are all the same. So you only have one set of personal endings for the perfect tense, regardless of the conjugation of the verb. You will use the perfect stem plus these endings regardless of the conjugation of the verb. Okay, so hopefully that makes things easy. Okay. All right, let's move on to the pluperfect tense. Okay, so if the perfect tense is an action in the past that is completed, well, the pluperfect tense is also a completed action in the past, but it takes place even further in the past than the perfect does. Okay, so you might have a sentence like, I had driven to work, okay, rather than I have driven to work. Okay, so if you're telling a story and you're using the past tense, you might want to talk about something that happened before the current narrative of your story, and you might use the pluperfect to say, here's something that happened further back in time to give you context. Okay. But anyway, it is always translated in English as I had verbed, I had xed, you had xed, etc. Okay? So just like the perfect tense, the pluperfect tense uses that third principal part, the perfect stem. And instead of the perfect personal endings, I, isti, it, imus, istis, erunt, it will use the pluperfect endings. Well, guess what? The pluperfect endings are the exact same thing as the imperfect of sum. Eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratis, erant. Yeah, so if you know the imperfect of the verb to be, then you know the pluperfect endings for the pluperfect tense. All you got to do is just add it to the perfect stem. Okay, and you'll notice that often you take the long I off of the perfect stem before you add the endings, right? Okay, so Weineram, I had come. Weineras, you had come. Weinerat, he, she, it had come. Weineramus, we had come. Weineratis, y'all had come. Weinerant, they had come. Okay? One more tense, the future perfect. You may never have heard of this, and it sounds counterintuitive. Like, how can a past tense be future? Well, it is describing a future action, but a future action that has already been talked about as being completed. I will have xed. I will have driven to work. Okay? I will have eaten lunch by then. Okay? By 12 o'clock or by 2 o'clock today, I will have already eaten lunch. Okay? So you're describing a future action as already being completed. Okay? I will eat lunch is different than I will have eaten lunch. Okay? So that's the future perfect and how you say it in English, and that's how you translate it when you encounter it in Latin. Okay? And so as a perfect tense, as part of the perfect system describing completed actions, it will also form from the perfect system off the third principal part. Okay? So again, look at the perfect there. Those are the perfect endings. That'll probably be the thing you have to spend the most time trying to memorize, so I'm repeating them here for you. And then look at the future perfect. Again, the third principal part minus the I. And then instead of the imperfect of sum for the pluperfect, you're adding the future of sum, which makes sense. It's the future perfect. So it's the perfect stem plus the future of the verb to be. Okay? So venero, I will have come. Veneris, you will have come. Venerit, he, she, it will have come. Venerimus, we will have come. Veneritis, y'all will have come. Venerint, they will have come. Okay, notice the star here. Okay, the asterisk. Okay, that is because this is not actually, erint is not actually the future of the verb to be. It would be erunt. But because erunt is already the perfect ending for the third plural, okay, venerunt, they came, they have come, there has to be a slight spelling change to distinguish it. So venerint, they will have come. Okay, so that's the only difference. Otherwise, it's the future of the verb to be. Okay, so that's it. So again, besides these new perfect endings that already have some familiar elements in it, most of what you have to learn in this chapter is basically recombining various things that you already know, again, especially if you've already memorized that third principal part. That's the most important thing, because that third principal part will not always look the same as the first principal part. There'll be some interesting spelling changes, as you see with a verb like cado from this chapter. So, if you think about it, you have now learned all of the verb tenses in Latin. There are no more verb tenses than this. There are 6 verb tenses. That is it. I promise. Okay? There'll be other voices that we will put these into, or other moods that we'll put these into, like the subjunctive, other voices like the passive. Okay? But we will not learn any more additional tenses than these 3. So we learned the 3 from the present system, the present, imperfect, and future, okay, and how they form. Here's some examples. And now today we are starting to learn the 3 from the perfect system, okay, the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect. So here's some nice examples of the perfect version of verbs like amo and duco and audio, okay, amawi, I loved, I have loved, duxi, I led, I have led, audiwi, I heard, I have heard, okay? And then let's put those in the pluperfect. Amawaram, I had loved. Duxaram, I had led. Audiwaram, I had heard. Okay? And then finally, the future perfect. Amawero, I will have loved. Duxero, you will have loved. Audiwero, sorry, Duxero, I will have led. And audiwero, I will have heard. Okay? So hopefully this also helps a bit. And congratulations again for learning all of the tenses at this point. See you next time. Valete discipuli.